Previously on All Hail Yog. 4 villains: Desdemonia the Devil, Agnoment the Fallen Angel, Dr. Hughbert the Mad Artificer, and Erick Idylvain the Abomination, were summoned from the 4 corners of Ondune. In the heart of Yoggoth they assembled at the peak of a twisted spire and knelt before the vessel of Yog. The adventure continues on the 51st of Hemsen, year 895, in the 4th age of Ondune. This is The Child, Episode 2. There is a child, a princess among the wood elves. You will bring her to me, alive and unspoiled.
What do you do?
As you wish, my lord.
All hail Yog.
I'll just lower the bow.
I feel like I'm not
I'm probably not gonna shoot Yog.
Ah, yeah. All hail Yog, yes. Very good. It will be done.
Are you still next to the throne?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Well, he stepped back when that transformation started to happen.
Right.
It was kind of like, oh, the show's about to start. Here we go. Yeah.
Do you guys want to ask any questions or anything you want to know from Yog?
Can I do a history check on the
Yes, you can.
princess of the Wood Elves?
The Wood Elves.
See if I can
Yes,
just
you can.
know who that is.
Great.
Ooh, I rolled really well. 26.
Awesome. Yeah, so there is one wood elven kingdom in the world. I have a map. So here's the world map, everybody. So you guys are here in Yoggoth.
Oh, cool.
But you would know, Doctor, that Symbia is basically this huge forest that occupies the northern half of the continent Emeros.
Okay.
And it is sort of the wood elven kingdom. Symbia has kind of had a turbulent history. They are very devoted to the ideas of preservation. So they're kind of a sealed off realm. People don't really go there and come back. Very militaristic. They're very about protecting their borders and not letting other people inside. You would know if you're from the city of Thorpe, which is a large metropolis to the south. The city of Thorpe and Symbia were at war for a long time. As the city was expanding, kind of cutting into the forest, the elves ended up making sort of a bargain with the tree folk to keep people out of the forest. So there's not a lot known about them, but they are very secretive and protective of their lands. The princess, that was with you, what did you get? Pretty high,
26.
right? 26, yeah. They recently basically had a child, the king and queen of Symbia. Her name is Princess Nimria, is what you know. And again, because they're so protective and secretive, there's not a lot of information that gets out into the world, but you know that, and you know the names of the king and the queen. King Maurus is the king, and Queen Sion. They would be located somewhere in Symbia. Other questions?
I'd like to do a religion check on Symbia.
Go for it.
8.
You know that they worship sort of the elven pantheon, as they're the 6 gods. Each culture interprets those 6 gods differently. You think the wood elves favor 3 of their gods, and the high elves, the other race of elves, favor the other 3, but you don't know how it breaks down. You're not 100% sure. Was there something specific you were trying to look for?
No, I just want to know what I'm stepping into.
Yeah. So Yogg is just sitting there kind of staring, and black bile is pouring out of its eyes.
I'm gonna ask Yog, what is this one doing here? And I look at the angel. I'm like right in his ear.
It looks sort of between the two of you, and Yogg replies, again in that like calm monotone that's deep underneath.
Yogg finds use in all its servants. Neither their capacity nor commitment shall be questioned, and neither shall a petty squabble endanger Yogg's designs.
She kind of glances over and looks at him and just bows her head.
Is there like a hint of sort of disobedience there, or are you...
Maybe a little.
Okay, yeah. You get out there in the
Just like,
field.
Fine. Oh, whoops. Did I stab you in the back literally? Oh, God.
Whoopsie.
Cody.
Master Yog. I am incomplete without my Elizabeth. May she please come with too. Please, Master. Please.
Debasing yourself,
Just
right? Yeah.
constantly saying please.
Your creature shall be provided you. In addition, Yogg will grant you the use of a dark gift.
you guys can choose between one of 3 different sort of assets that Yogg has at its disposal that you can bring into this mission. The 3 different options you have that you can choose from, currently what Yogg can basically spare from its war against the world. You can conscript a black battalion, which is up to 1,000 soldiers to deploy in whatever means you think necessary for the mission, is one of the options. You can get a summoning stone, which is basically a little piece of black rock with Yogg's symbol on it that if you break, will summon a powerful entity, an aspect of Yogg, to help you in battle for 1 minute. Or you can get what's called a shadow network. The way that works is you guys have 3 NPCs that you can designate. As I describe the world, you can say, okay, that NPC that you just talked about, they're an agent. They work for Yogg, and they can help us on our mission. So you can put them kind of in any position you want, with some limitations, right? The princess you're trying to capture probably is not an agent of Yogg, things like that. So you guys can choose one of those 3 options. The Black Battalion, the Summoning Stone, and the Shadow Network.
As a group?
As a group, yeah. The whole group gets to pick one. And so a lot of this is going to be about how do you want to go about capturing the princess. This kind of has some utility as to, do you want to be stealthy? Do you want to be aggressive? Do you want to use subterfuge or trickery? Or, what's your tactic here?
And we get one of those assets to the group.
The group, yeah. The group can have. And for the Black Battalion, for example, you could choose up to 1,000. You could choose 10. You could choose 1 if you wanted 1 soldier for some reason, right? Like, it's up to you.
Is there a time that makes more sense for us to go there?
Time is immaterial to Symbia. They are ageless and measure not the years as you mortals do. Yogg shall send you only when you are prepared. What matters most to Yogg's purposes is that the child is unharmed.
Well, I feel like with this sort of one, either the Shadow Network or the Summoning Stone would make the most sense, since it is more of like a jump in and grab her kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know that part of the pact that the elves made with the tree folk was basically that the locations inside the Wyrmwood do not have a fixed spot. So basically you go there, and if you know where you're trying to go, it takes you there, right? But the problem is that only works for elves. So if you aren't an elf of the kingdom, you can't, you wander into that forest and you may never come back out. It's all about, the trees almost kind of provide you with the locations you're trying to get to. So it can be very difficult for people who aren't members of the nation, aren't members of that race, to find their way around in the Wyrmwood. That's sort of one of the hurdles you have to get over, right?
With that knowledge, almost having an agent would maybe be the best one then, to have some kind of guide, someone who can make sure we get in and out. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm down for that. I think that one.
I was thinking the army just because that fits more of my play style as a character. Like, I can't really subtly go in there and like, hey, I'm not at all, like.
I can look exactly like an elf, so.
Like,
right, yeah. Some of you are more suited for stealth, some of you are less suited for stealth.
For sure, yeah. With that knowledge, the best way to get in and out is with some agent, and we have some kind of elf.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah, I'm done with that. Cool.
Princess Nimria is a newborn, daughter of King Maurus and Queen Sion, the last in a long lineage of druids. Hers is a potent destiny, one that, if allowed to ripen, threatens to undo all that Yogg has wrought. You will find her in the hidden palace of Erquethrolos.
Anyone speak Elven in the party?
I don't.
Sylvan.
You can make an intelligence check.
I could,
with Sylvan. Oh, yeah, right, yeah, you can. When he says that, maybe you turn your little ear horn to get the translation.
I got 12.
12, okay, you're not 100% sure. Erquethrolos means where the ghost elms grow. All elven names are all kind of like Vaer, or like place names, like where the blah 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 happens. So Erquethrolos is the name, or also called the Hidden Palace.
The Hidden Palace. Yeah. Where the what grows? Sorry.
The ghost elms.
The ghost elms.
The ghost elms. Yeah.
Powerful druidic magic protects the Wyrmwood. Erquethrolos cannot be located by conventional means. Only a willing Symbian elf can open the way. Yogg will send you nearer, through a fissure in the Green Guard Mountains. It is you that must locate and secure the child, for Yogg's tendrils cannot penetrate the druidic magic that wards the Wyrmwood.
It is an infant as well. I didn't realize that.
A newborn.
Would be like pretty easy to take.
Even better.
It's like stealing a baby from a baby. You don't even have to ask it. You
just walk in and take it up.
It'll never know.
It's the getting out with the crying child that's going to be a little more difficult.
Yeah.
That's true.
If a willing soul is what's required, then perhaps the third boon is fitting.
Agreed.
The Shadow Network. It shall be so. Once within the Wombwood, Yogg's agents will make themselves known to you.
So mechanically, the way this works is that you can't say, okay, I want a guide. You have to wait and meet an NPC in the game, and then say, okay, I want to spend one of our spies on this guy, or this person, or whatever,
So you
right?
make them one.
You make them one. It's not like, okay,
You kind of like brand them, or how does that like?
You basically just, out of game, say, I want this person to be a spy, and then that spy will, in-game, will make some indication to you that, like, we're on the same side. Right, yeah. Exactly. You have 3 of them you can spend throughout the course of the
We get
adventure.
3 people?
3 spies, yep.
That's great. I thought it was
And
just one person.
they're not necessarily going to, like, throw themselves into death, but they can help
They'll take
you
a bullet from me specifically.
You only.
Yeah.
They can help you in small ways. They can open doors. They can give you information, things like that.
They're
right?
polite.
Like,
Got
yeah,
it.
they're very nice to you. Yeah.
They're Canadian.
Right, they're Canadian.
God.
Yeah. Sorry.
Evil and polite, yeah.
Sorry.
How are we to blend in?
Oh, I see it might not be as easy as it is for me. But
Ignoring you forever.
Like wing up, like in her face.
Just like go.
Tough as a wing. Yeah.
That's funny.
You are not required to blend in. If the child cannot be captured with shadow and deceit, then conquest must force the issue.
As he says that, I just kind of coyly smile and walk back towards her because I'm like, I got this.
Yeah, right. You're concerned about blending in. Yeah, that's your whole thing. Yeah, when you're ready, Yogg will basically summon you over towards that sort of black well in the middle of the room.
I think as I walk towards them, I completely change myself to look like a wood elf.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Yeah, just like as I'm walking towards them.
I do a double take. Who are you? How'd you get here?
But I think, yeah, that's one thing we talked about, too, is that, like, definitely you look like a wood elf, and it takes that double take, but you can see, like, having seen her in her demonic form, she's basically like a wood elven version of that. It's got the same sort of
like
facial
same
structure and
thing.
stuff. It's not like you can look like anyone, but you look like a version of yourself in a different race. So you can change your hair or whatever, your body type, but you still kind of have
Like I said, that same face, yeah.
skeletal structure. Yeah, exactly. Cool. So you guys talked about Shadow Network as your potential dark gift. Looks like it's gonna be kind of a subterfuge thing. What's the plan?
Yeah, how are we gonna get in there though? Because like I am not.
I'd like to make a check because I want to see if I can like kind of like try to sneak them in as like an emissary group or something. Just like since I
Yeah.
would be an escort or something.
Great. Okay. Yeah. Like politically, what's going on?
Yeah,
here?
should it
That
be
seems
like
history to
history?
me?
Okay.
Yeah.
5.
Oh, yeah. You're not super up on like
Yeah.
names and dates and things. You would know that he said that they're pretty isolated, but that doesn't mean they wouldn't have some kind of a diplomatic relationship
Right,
with other
they'd have
nations.
to.
Yeah.
Is there some kind of? Would they potentially need some kind of medicine, maybe, or something like that? I don't know.
Good job.
Is there some kind of check I could do to figure that
It
out?
would still be history. I think you're trying to get information about them. Yeah.
Because I'm thinking like I could claim to provide something. I don't know. 27.
So they're very, very self-sufficient. Like they basically make everything that they need inside the forest. They have very little reason to traffic in and out. Your 27 history will tell you though that they do have a diplomatic relationship with Thorpe, the city that you come from, because it's directly to the south, right? This huge metropolis that spans half a continent. They were at war a couple hundred years ago, like last age, because the city kept expanding and moving into their forest. They're at peace right now, but it's very tense. You would also know that Yogg's sort of resurgence is very public knowledge now. For a long time, Yogg was kind of secret and no one really believed in its existence, but now that it's coming out and taking over the world, all the sort of good aligned nations of the world are trying to join forces to try to push it back, and Symbia has been kind of dragging its feet. It doesn't really want to cooperate, it doesn't really want to work with other people, it wants to just protect itself. So there may be some angle there as far as like, we're a diplomatic envoy from blah, blah, blah. They are probably engaging in some kind of negotiation. Think of it kind of like North Korea, where they're very insulated and they don't...
They're doing their own thing.
They're doing their own thing, and they don't want any part of the rest of the world, right? They're very isolated.
Would any of the crusades I fought in tell me anything about like the land or the culture or the religions or anything?
Yeah, you can make a religion check.
4.
Not really. You probably didn't crusade too much against the elves, yeah.
I could even claim to be just like a traveling.
With an angel and a sidekick and a random wood elf that appeared.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's the thing, is that you guys are going to be pretty demonstrably, cartoonishly evil.
Yeah.
So the amount of deception may be limited in that
We
way.
could hire a wizard to cast disguise self on us, maybe.
You could. I mean, I have disguise kit, but it can only go so far.
Can't do this all, right? Yeah.
I mean, you could probably pull your wings in, right? I think
You're
we
an
talked
angel.
about
Yeah,
that.
yeah. You look like an angel, so
yeah.
you're okay.
So people might like me
People might like you.
if I can deceive them enough.
It's true.
Or I could talk about no. I mean,
Yeah, you're gone.
Talk
the
all
god of
day
wisdom.
about-
Yeah, you could be the
No.
traveling preacher or whatever. We could have like a traveling salesman and
Your
Traveling
assistant.
doctors.
your 27 would tell you that like there's very little
That.
immigration. Like
Yeah.
people don't
People
really
don't go in and out.
people don't go in and
Like,
out
that's
really.
What if we try the Yog diplomat angle?
Mm.
Go in as like we are of Yog, and we are here to try to make a truce.
Oh,
That's really interesting.
interesting.
Then we take the baby.
They might be hostile instantly
leave.
just from hearing the term Yog, though.
I don't think they will be. I
Oh.
think what I've gathered from my history is that
Mhm.
they are kind of wishy-washy about
they might politely
Just
say
what they
no
want
and
to
shut
do.
the door.
Yeah, they
Sure.
might just want to be Switzerland
we're
about
not
it all.
interested.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Have been pretty
I mean,
neutral.
yeah,
that's
They defend
true.
their borders, but they're not.
They might not
lending
necessarily be
soldiers.
hostile towards us just because we're
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Especially if we're
good
just coming in as like, hey, we just want to try to make a truce. Will you stand by our side? When the war
This
comes?
horrible gang
Just
of
wanna
freaks.
see.
Yeah.
Spread the good news about Yog.
You're just like grunting behind. You want to be our friend?
You can be like this guy.
See all the different types of disciples of Yah?
I
Like
think
how
that's
an angel?
exciting.
we are.
Yeah, I'm fine
Okay,
with
so
that.
as far as now,
Yeah.
that's the most tangible. I mean,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
might get the furthest on that, but my guess is that it'll all go to shit and we're gonna be fighting.
It always.
It always
Dungeons and Dragons, yeah.
But I like that. I mean,
Yeah.
that might get us the furthest.
It
Unless
feels
anybody else.
the least hard to deceive.
Tell
It's-
a lie
it's-
with
yeah.
part truth.
It's
right?
kind of the truth in a way.
And since I'm a wood elf, I can say that I've brought you guys to
Right, yeah.
to like.
Right.
It's like no, the
Be a
palace wanted
translator
to.
or something, 'cause,
yeah,
like, yeah.
exactly.
I guess you don't speak Elven though.
But I have mastermind, so I can kind of mimic speech patterns and
okay,
stuff and seem
yeah.
like a native.
Cool,
So
yeah.
I know.
Deception, yeah. Okay.
I can't do
fake a
anything.
language,
I can like
basically.
fake a language for a minute, and I can mimic speech patterns to like sound like I'm a native speaker.
You guys haven't figured out my little ear thing is I can comprehend languages with it too, so that'll be
It's a universal
Yeah.
translator.
little
Exactly.
universal
Little
translator, little dial on the back. I forgot to describe.
Google,
awesome.
Google Translate, yeah.
So I feel like I'm being real close
Okay,
with you.
Yog.
I'd be like, okay, cool,
Okay,
man.
Yog.
Okay.
Pretty good, yeah.
Great. So when you are ready, you can all sort of approach this well in the center of this horrible blasted tower. And again, the entire time it's been like, like a hissing wind, and just like volcanic explosions and like in the background, right? Like,
Wailing on it. Electric flashes in the corner with the top light on.
just going. Right. The entire time. You can sort of come around the well, and it's, 2-3 feet off the ground. It's about 3 feet across, and it's made from that same stone. And inside is just this inky, swirling awfulness. So Yog is contained inside the earth, and when Yog is trying to break free, it creates these things called fissures, which are basically openings in the earth that then expose kind of the ether of Yog. And that if you are a servant of Yog, you can step into those, and Yog can transport you to any other fissure on the planet. So there is one that it referenced in the Green Guard Mountains, if you look here on this map, sort of in this area, like kind of right on the foot of the forest. So when you are ready, you can step into the fissure, and it will basically transport you, kind of like a teleport spell over there. But the idea is that you're coming through the gunk in the middle of the earth and then coming back out. And it just looks, this awful ozone smell coming off of it, and it kind of like bubbles in a gross way. But it doesn't quite look like liquid. It's like half liquid, half like vapor. You're not 100% sure what it is, but it's just, you guys gonna hop in there?
Oh yes.
Before you leave, Yog, again, like the body's still like back there and just looking forward. It hasn't really turned or looked away in a couple of minutes. And as you're getting preparing to jump inside, it will just quietly say,
Yog before all.
All hail.
Yog. I say it was great.
And Erick dives in.
yeah, cool. You leap
Head
inside
first.
of it, and it like, you kind of stick into it, and then it sort of drinks you, right, like sucks you in like spaghetti, and Erick vanishes.
I just blow him a kiss.
Yeah.
And just kind of slide in.
Cool, yeah. And you were like, it almost like takes you like willingly. It's like reaching out. It's done this many times, yeah, and pulls you in. What about the two of you?
He'll say, "All hail Yog." Okay, well, I'll see you later. Next time. And then he like dives in, basically.
Covers your nose.
Yeah. Covers his nose. Sure, you guys. I didn't say that, so you can't see it. But he covers his nose and just dives in.
Yeah. Blunk.
His cheeks go big as he's holding his breath.
It's cartoonish cannonball into the goop.
He like plugs his horn too, like his ear horn. So it's not to get it in his.
So you leap in, and you like where it embraced Desdemonia and pulled her in. You like on top of it, and then slowly go in, right? Like so you had expected this plunge, it's like into mud.
Hand on cement, basically.
Yeah. And it swallows.
Good
you.
one, Yog. Good one.
All right, buddy. See you later.
Yeah, like as you're vanishing, like your head's going under as you're saying that, right? Yeah. And we have Agnoment.
Yeah, I'll float above it.
All hail Yog.
And then do you like descend? Do you fold the wings up and go down?
Yeah, thinking.
And it kind of like it did with Desdemonia, but less inviting. It's these like tendrils that reach up and grab you, and you almost feel like a little bit against your will. You're kind of being pulled down and into it.
It's all a little bit against your will.
It's really dramatic.
The two of you are staring at each other as you go down, right? Like when you are pulled into the slime, it doesn't feel like any other sensation. You feel like you have no body, but you also feel like you have like there's all this pressure and density pushing on you. You can feel almost like hands or tendrils or something are kind of pulling at you and tugging you, and you don't have any sense of where you're going. You're a little weightless and sort of spinning. There's all these sensations that are hitting you. You can kind of vaguely see dim shapes. It's just this very out-of-body sort of psychedelic experience. And then you are, one by one, in the order you went in, kind of vomited forth from this bubbling black ooze. You kind of come out first, Erick, and you're pulling yourself out, just trying to get to air. You're just like covered in this slime, this horrible putrescent goop. And as you pull yourself out, as you get away from the fissure, you're grabbing onto grass, it just like lets go of you. And then you're not wet or you're not covered in it anymore. It's as though you were enveloped and then you're just completely back to normal. So yeah, I mean, I imagine it was kind of a dramatically burst out. But you're the first one there and you kind of crawl your way out. What do you do?
I'll just look at my surroundings, do a little perception
Give me a perception.
check.
Great.
8.
Okay. You're on some sort of a hilly mountainside. You can see the main thing you're looking at is this fissure. So it's this mountainside. It's all kind of covered in grass, and there's just a huge crack that runs down like the side of this slope. And you've seen fissures before, but this one is kind of vertical up and down like this as opposed to being on the ground. And you can see inside of it's just more of that swirling black goop, the essence of Yog that you just crawled out of. And as you watch, you see just kind of like almost like a bunch of hands carrying her. Desdemonia is just like carried out of it and placed very gently right on the grass next to you. Or you had this like violent birth, right?
I'm still catching my breath.
Yeah, you're panting, and you're just Desdemonia. You're just ferried gently out and like placed on the grass. Yeah. Great. You can also make perception if you want.
Absolutely. 18.
So you can see Erick is sitting there panting, maybe holding a stone, like, right?
I run my hand like very gently up his back.
Ooh, nice.
And what does that do to me?
Up to you.
I think that calms me a bit, but also it invokes even more fear within me.
Because I do have nails, so it's kind of like a little bit of a nails like digging in.
Yeah, I think there's a baser thing in me that feels calm within the tame that maybe just came over me.
Yeah,
like an animal that feels safer with someone holding its leash.
But almost like your human mind realizes like, oh, this is a demon, right? Like, do
Not
not accept. Yeah.
Don't look into her eyes, but God, look at those eyes.
Yeah, exactly. So you sort of bring your claw up against his back and turn. You can see that the mountain kind of crumbles down into foothills, and then beyond that, it's just a sea of green. It's just a forest that goes on and on and on and on and on and on. And you can see, like, birds and things will rise up out of it, but it's just this landscape of velvet green as far as your eye can see. Kind of looking out at that. When the doctor gets like shot like a cannonball out, you fly a couple feet in the air and then come down on the earth in a rough way. And after a couple of seconds, as you're sort of lying there recovering yourself, there's sort of a similar and another basically form comes shooting up out of it. Not Agnoment, but you see kind of spinning in the air is Elizabeth.
Oh, there she is.
And she comes down and hits the ground next to you. Can you give us a description? Because we didn't really get a good description of her before. What does she look like? What are we looking at?
She is definitely an abomination. It's not really like a human shape anymore. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's like just this, all these different forms and these different things are stitched together. So it could be like a human leg with like a, like maybe a horse's leg or something leg, or like, I mean, the thing is the limbs and all the body parts change frequently. As she gets beat up, I have to repair her. Oh, and so you see that like the stitching on her is very like carefully done, but it's not really with a purpose at all. Like it's all kind of randomly. Like,
does she have like
new spots
too
here?
Many arms?
You know,
does she have like 3 arms?
She could have 3 arms at times, maybe not all the time. I would say.
Okay.
You know,
but it's a flesh golem, so it's like
it's a flesh golem,
kind of basically bipedal, right? Like standing up on 2 legs.
Yeah. Yeah. Basically humanoid, but a bigger.
Yeah, like 8 feet.
8
like
feet kind
huge.
of thing. Yeah, not like large size,
right.
but like. Yeah. Bigger.
Anything distinguishing about her?
Yeah, so she's got, the one thing that you'll see is she has, you'll always see this no matter what, even if she gets completely destroyed and he has to recreate a new one, there's going to be this red hair that grows from her scalp, always kind of just starts to happen. So at this point, I think maybe this construct's been around for a while. She's got some nicer, longer red hair.
Yeah, falling down her shoulder.
It's falling down her shoulder.
But she like, hits the ground and then like kind of pulls herself up and will just shamble over to you, like got like the withered claw and the 3 arms or whatever, and she'll kind of just stand behind you and not really move, and just this horrible snarl on her face.
He's gonna come up and examine her and just make sure she's okay.
Yeah, she seems fine. Yeah, she wasn't harmed.
Okay, good.
And then lastly, I'm not sure how Agnoment comes out of the ooze.
I love the idea that like I just can kind of sort of float out of it.
Yeah,
and like creates like an opening.
It opens. Yeah, there's like a lacuna in it, and you come floating up out of that. Right, your wings unfolding. Maybe your armor has like activated.
Oh yeah.
Now. So you see this like spectral. You can describe it, but it's
yeah. I mean, I think it's like. It kind of looks like it's made of smoke, but it's not. Like it's armor, but it just has that weird like can't quite pin it down feel to it that sort of appears over my smack.
Glimmers into existence over your smock, and you kind of beat your wings and set down.
And I always hover a little bit.
Oh, cool.
Before kind of
just a little off the ground.
Yeah. I give a little growl as to.
I'm still ignoring you.
You'll never say a word to her the entire adventure. That's great. Awesome. You guys stand there on the precipice. You look down over the expanse of the Wombwood, knowing that somewhere within that everlasting green is the child you are to kidnap.
All Hail Yogg is an Experience Points production. It was directed and dungeon mastered by Timothy J. Meyer. Agnoment is played by Kate Enge at I Don Quixote on Twitter. Desdemonia is played by Heather Lore at Land of Lore on Instagram. Dr. Hughbert is played by Cody Bushee at Cody Bushee on Twitter. Erick Idylvain is played by Paul Vonasek at Paul Vonasek on Twitter. You can find the show on Twitter at XP Web Series. Our audio engineer was Tim Alvarez. The game was played using the Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition rule set, as owned by Wizards of the Coast. The main titles are A Night on Bald Mountain by Modest Mussorgsky, performed by the Skidmore College Orchestra. Additional music includes the Dante Symphony by Franz Liszt, performed by the Berlin Philharmonic. Thanks for listening, and Yogg before all.